Sure is.
We're all set.
Okay.
Oh, time to go.
Yep. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Begin the meeting with a moment of silence. This meeting is being recorded and televised by WHCA. I'd like a motion to approve bill and payroll warrants.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And I would like a motion to accept correspondence in the read file.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Public forum. Now is the time for someone to speak who wants to speak on something that's not on the agenda. Chief.
Good evening. As per contract, I'm supposed to ask for out-of-state travel. In August, I'm looking to attend the Fire Rescue International this year. And in October, we might as well get out of the way now, the EFO Symposium down at the Fire Academy in Emmitsburg, Maryland. I just need
And where is it?
the second one is Emmitsburg, Maryland, and the first one is in Orlando this year. It was in
Orlando?
Dallas last year. They like to pick hot spots.
Nice.
I think
Okay.
they get them cheap.
Is there a motion to let the chief out of town?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. You can find your way back though, right?
I hope so.
Okay, good evening. Kathleen Otina, 344 Washington Street, Chair of the Whitman Finance Committee. I'm here tonight to express my dismay at the announcement made at the start of our June 11th, 2025 special town meeting that the Select Board had voted unanimously to appropriate $150,000 from ambulance receipts at a fall special town meeting to restore $75,000 to the fire department and $75,000 to the police department's fiscal 26 budget. On May 17th, the voters of Whitman voted overwhelmingly to reject a Proposition 2.5 override for $2 million. The result left us with $2,053,431 deficit that needed to be closed. A decision was made to split the deficit 48% town and 52% Whitman-Hanson Regional School District. That translated into $988,000 for the town and $1,064,000 for the school. The town proceeded to close the gap by using $340,000 in free cash to pay OPEB and Plymouth County retirement, which we all knew about ahead of time. Now this proposal to use $150,000 in projected fiscal 26 ambulance receipts results in a deficit to the town, not the $988,000, but $498,665. If you recalculate the deficit, it translates into a 32% deficit handled by the town and 68% handled by the Whitman-Hanson Regional School District. 32 to 68, not the 52 to 48 that we agreed on prior to town meeting. Whitman-Hanson Regional School Committee voted to cut the Whitman assessment by the $1,064,000 that we asked them to. They didn't have to. We all know how we fund regional schools. They cooperated with us. I anticipate that future Whitman-Hanson Regional School budget votes will not be so cooperative because this is not fair. We had 3 public forums prior to May 17th. Citizens were told that a failed override would translate into cuts to police, fire, DPW, town hall, library, recreation, and the schools. The voters voted no. I sympathize with the police and the fire department. I don't want to see them undermanned. I do not want to see citizens' health and safety jeopardized. But if voters do not realize the impact of a failed override because they don't see what happens, that there's a clerk missing in one office and another clerk missing in another office, that does not impact the day-to-day living. And I'm not calling on dangerous levels of manpower. I'm simply stating this is not fair. If we hope in fiscal 27 to get the support of the voters for what I see as a projected fiscal 27 override, they need to realize that these cuts were needed, these cuts were real, and they impact the quality of life in Whitman. I'm sure the two chiefs are not pleased with my position, and I empathize with both of you. You're great guys, and your departments are amazing. But 23 positions were cut in the schools. Granted, only 3 people were riffed, but 23 teaching positions were cut. Elementary school teachers, middle school teachers, high school teachers. Math interventionists at the elementary and middle school level. Library aides at both middle schools. The quality of the program that the Whitman-Hanson Regional School District will be able to provide our children has been impacted. Unless you have children or grandchildren, you won't know it. But what has happened since COVID, addressing the deficits that were experienced by the school children, that were addressed by ESSER funds, yes, one-time money ESSER funds brought interventionists and other support staff into the schools. Those positions have been eliminated, and the support for the children has been severely impacted. I'm not speaking for the Finance Committee as a whole tonight because we have not held a meeting. I'm speaking for myself, but I am the chair, and before we have a special town meeting in the fall, I want to remind you that Article 2 is the Finance Committee's article. People are welcome to amend the Finance Committee's article, but it's the Finance Committee recommendation to town meeting that is recommended at town meeting. I'm dismayed that the last-minute decision by the Select Board was not communicated to the Finance Committee until it was announced at the town meeting, and it caused a great deal of consternation on the board. So I trust that we'll be able to work through this over the coming summer and come up with a solution that is as fair as a $2 million deficit can be. And Chief, I don't relish your jobs. I know it's tough. I do appreciate everything you and your men and women do for us. But if the people of Whitman do not realize on a day-to-day basis the impact of a failed override, we don't have a chance of getting support in the future. Thank you.
So there you go.
Thank you, Kathy. Does anyone have anything they'd like to say? Yes.
Yeah, just quickly. Obviously, I respect your opinion, and will think carefully about your thoughts for sure. From my position, there's a difference when you look at we have a $2 million deficit, and how do we spread out the deficit so that the services that we have to cut are kind of like equally distributed. That's one perspective. The other perspective seems to be we have a certain amount of revenue, and when we distribute the revenue through Article 2, this is how it's going to be distributed. And certainly the way that it looked, certainly to public safety, was the vast majority of the revenue was going to the school and very little was going to public safety. And those two, I think the difference between those two perspectives is where we feel the big rift in our community. You know, how do we keep our services at a level that not too many people will be affected and it'll be the least harm? But also, how do we distribute revenue in a way that's equitable? And it's a very difficult dilemma, and I think we need to, I keep going back in my mind on what we can do better, and I think just going back to the drawing board early and talking about different strategies I think would be helpful. We'll see what happens tomorrow in Hanson. Obviously, the budget really isn't finalized yet, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, I hear you loud and clear. I just don't know that there is a clear solution right now, and we need to keep going back to the drawing table.
I think what Kathy was asking, though, is that between now and next fall, there can be some more discussion and some more thinking, and maybe there's a different kind of solution or another way of dealing with it. But I think what I hear you saying is that you're open to that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, my thought on that is, when we listen to the chief, if we were to lose a number of firefighters, and they're all paramedic firefighters, which means that there are times, you know, that there's multiple runs all the time in town. You can hear them going most of the night. If, in fact, you start eliminating one ambulance run because we don't have manpower to run it, there's a possibility, because what do we get, over $1 million, right, in the ambulance fund? We could possibly lose $300,000 to $400,000 by having another town take over those runs, and we'd lose the revenue. So the $150,000 that we decided to take it out of the ambulance fund to offset the police and fire, I thought was a good buy, because I'd rather spend 150 out of the ambulance than lose 450 because we miss runs. So on a monetary aspect, that's how I looked at it and made my decision.
So just the projected revenues, and I know Mary Beth's been looking into it, the projected revenue for those two ambulances is $1.4 million this year. That's where we're projected, and we had a really good conversation about this. Can we put it, don't take this wrong, it's $150,000 to possibly not jeopardize someone's life.
Right. Because we'll have that ambulance run, and we'll be able to bring in those revenues. So, I mean, why wouldn't you? That's why I made my vote to say yes to do that, because you'd lose a lot more than what you know if we were to lose all those runs. So
We can continue this discussion over the next couple of months. We're not going to solve anything right now. Yes.
I would finally just say I do apologize. I think the last minute stuff at town meeting is never a good thing, but I do think the way it turned out was helpful and certainly not ideal. But the information I was getting prior to the meeting was that things were going to turn in a bad direction, and I hope that the way it turned out was better than a potential, was better than the alternative,
Here is a failure to communicate.
Well, we just have to try to communicate more. Yeah.
I'm glad you're optimistic.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the chairman's report. All I want to do right now is to get past that discussion we were just having for the time being, and recognize the committee that Richie Rosen put together for the celebration of the 150th anniversary of the town. The parade was a really hot parade, but it was really well done. And I just want to read the names of the people on the committee. They started meeting on July 9th last year, almost a year ago, and they met every month. And then more so as the times came on. They did a remarkable job, and so I think we need to recognize them publicly. Richie Rosen, of course, is the chair of the committee. He's the one that put it all together. Kathy Rosen is his wife. Tim Travers, Carolyn Travers, Nancy Payton, Maureen Leonard and Dennis Leonard, Larry Roach, David Menard, who was looking good, Michelle Lamartina, and Danielle DuPont and Dustin DuPont. Danielle DuPont and Dustin DuPont. They did a remarkable job, and I think recognizing them is important. And one of the things that I'm going to hate myself for saying this probably, but one of the things that did strike me while I was watching the parade was the Whitman Hanson Band. Both of my kids were in the Whitman Hanson Band back in the 80s and 90s. They had a middle school band in those days, and they had a band that was remarkable. It was large. You remember. They had a series of twirlers that were remarkable. The band that I saw the other day couldn't have had the same amount of attention paid to it as those kids did 20 and 30 years ago. It's just, they were good. They played well. But it was a small group of people, and I wonder sometimes when we do give money to the schools, where it goes and whether it goes to the right places all the time. And that's something that I think we need to talk about as well. Not just the amount of money, but where it goes. I was just saddened to see what had become of a band that was really remarkable at one time. I'm not saying that band was bad. I'm not saying that at all. I loved watching those kids walk through, and the young lady who was twirling the baton and catching it while she was walking was incredible. My daughter was a twirler. She could throw the baton in the air really well, but sometimes coming down it didn't always reach her hand. And the only other thing I remember about her was she ended up being a twirler at BC, where she went to college, and they had a game against West Point. We went down to see it, She almost killed the band director when she tossed the baton and hit him in the head. But it's a whole other thing.
Lester Lynam's
What?
grandson played taps a couple times. Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, recently.
Yeah.
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 Did good.
I believe he said there were 4 grandchildren in the parade. Thanks. Had
It's,
amazing
yeah.
in the bands.
Yeah, some of us are old. I got 4 grandkids just starting college this year. Well, anyway. New business. Consider the FY26 annual appointments.
I would like to make a motion to consider all the annual appointments, with the exception of the one that Mr. Pickrilli is in, the American with Disability Act, the advisory member in the Board of the Bylaw Study Committee, Defense Viewer, Inspection of Building Commissioner, Outdoor Advisement Divisioner, and Zoning Enforcement Officer.
Okay, so you're recommending acceptance of the...
With the exceptions to the list, yes.
Okay.
And those 8 exceptions.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Announce the board and committee vacancies. We'll get someplace. The AAA Advisory Committee, there is 1 alternative delegate vacancy for 2026. The Board of Appeals, there's 1 associate member vacancy for 2026. Conservation Commission, 2 alternate member vacancies, 2026 and 2027. Community Preservation Committee, there's 1 vacancy. Conservation Commission, and there's another vacancy for the Recreation Commission of the Community Preservation Committee. Economic Development Committee, there's a vacancy for 2028, a vacancy on the Board of Appeals for 2027, a vacancy for the Planning Board rep on 2028, and 2 vacancies at large, 2026 and 2027, for the Economic Development Committee. The Historical Commission, there's 1 vacancy, 2028. The Recreation Commission, there are 3 voting member vacancies, 2026, 2028, and 2028, and 2 non-voting member vacancies, 2028. And then there's a voting member vacancy on the Whitman Cultural Council. If any of you out there will be interested in joining any of those groups, please contact the Selectman's Office.
Can I talk about something, if I may?
Yep.
All of those are very important, but I'd like to stress on the recreation. There's only 2 members there now, and the director. And it's very important that we have the volunteers to help. I believe that they're looking at possibly not being able to have a 4th of July function that they usually have. The money that they have left is going to go basically strictly for the pool. Hopefully there's no issues with the pool as far as being able to get it prepared. But they're considering on a few items like the Easter egg hunt, maybe not. 4th of July, cut it back a bit or whatever, and a few other events. But it's very important for the summer for the pool and for like daycare and the kids in the park. But as I say, they need people on that committee to look at it and maybe be able to go out and raise funds to be able to fulfill their needs because of the fact that we had to cut their budget down. Yeah, that's it.
If I may.
Thanks, Jim. Yes.
I just think to raise money, it would probably need to be Friends of the Recreation.
Oh yes, yeah.
I don't think it could be done by the Recreation Committee. But
Because I have to sit on that board to make a quorum, and I suggested that and said for them to get a hold of, talk to Mike Ganchert because he's into that, with the dollars for scholars and the process, and see what they can come up with. But if anybody's out there, I recommend it. Need the help.
Next item on the agenda is to act on the request of Laurie Shisley to hold the La Vita y Bella 5K on Sunday, September 28th, 2025, subject to the route of the race being approved by Chief Hanlon. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
And Laurie is here. Would you like to say anything?
Thank you.
Yeah,
We
you want to get up and add?
We haven't voted yet. No, but
No.
You want to come with me? Sure. Okay. We'll be on the buddy system. Thank you for hearing me once again on the race. I have reached out to him over the course of a few months ago, expressing that we wanted to have the race again. It's been a huge success. I work right with him to figure out exactly what he wants us to do, and he's the boss. So if we could have it again, we would really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Yeah.
Comments?
Thank you very much for doing
Let's vote.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
All right.
Good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you again. Thank
Now
you.
that's the beautiful life. That's the beautiful life, La Vida e Bella.
Yes.
Nice.
From my niece. She had it tattooed on her arm. And then when she was killed, there's 40 of us in the family now who have the same tattoo on our arm.
Wow.
So yeah, it's become her signature thing. So
That's
this is great. This is great.
That is great.
And
Thank
bringing
you.
the race here is even better because we're all from here. So it's like a big old Whitman hug. And we appreciate it. Thank you.
See you, Larry.
Act on the following line item transfers and any other transfers deemed necessary. Act on the request of Assistant Town Administrator Kathy Keefe for a line item transfer in the amount of $479.59 from line item number 20, vocational transportation, 013012002.710 to line item 20, other vocational tuition, 01.301.2001.322. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Act on the request of the Director of Technology, Josh McNeil, for a line item transfer in the amount of $5,000 from line item number 8, technology expense, 01155-2000-585 to line item 8, Assistant Director of Technology, 01.155.1001.158. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Act on the request of Chief Clancy for a line item transfer in the amount of $25,000 from line item number 16, all other expenses, 01.220.100.112 to line item number 16, expense, 01.220.2000.585.
That's all from all of the
there a motion?
services. Yeah. So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? And act on the request of Town Administrator Mary Beth Carter for a line item transfer in the amount of $10,000 from line item number 35, General Liability Insurance, 01.945.2000.740 to line item number 35, Legal Services, 01.151.2000.301.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. And you sent a couple others too, right?
Would you like me to hand those down?
Sure, I'll read them.
Oh.
I forgot my glasses again,
Okay, Bobby.
but no, that's all right. I'll do the best I can. Following line item transfers from line item 35, general description, general liability insurance, 01.945.2000.740, and the amount of $3,833.64. Two, line item 2, administrative assistant, 01.122.1001.115, 3853.64. This transfer is necessary to fund the FY 2025 shortfall, the administrative assistant salary line due to a retroactive step increase which was attained and not factioned into previous budgets. Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. And then the following line item transfers.
That's the same.
Oh, okay.
They all the same?
Yeah, both of these are made, I forgot to read, made pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 33B. And so is this one. From line item 1, description, circulation supervisor, 01.610.1003.155, $3,500. 2, senior library technician, 01.610.1007.220, $5,000. 3, line item 3, library technicians, 01.610.01005.159, $5,000. And to 4, line item 4, library expenses 01.610.2000.585, $13,500. Explanation for this transfer: staff overtime and supplemental staffing were needed due to the staffing shortage created by the hiring freeze. Also, building maintenance and other operational expenses exceeded the appropriated funds. Please attach available backup support material. At a duly posted meeting, the Finance Committee and Board of Selectmen met and voted on the above request as noted below.
Mr.
Is there
Chair.
a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Yes.
I believe there's a Scrivener's error there as you read that. I think that the library director listed 1, 2, 3, 4 instead of the line item budget number, but basically his request for all his moves
Yeah.
from the different salaries to expense, and the way he has it listed is correct, and the codes, the expenditure numbers are correct, but you can see that first line item box, I
Right.
think he listed 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, it's from 1, 2, 3, 2, 4. Yeah, I got it.
Right, no, and that's not his budget line number, so,
Okay.
but that can be corrected because the number itself will explain the correct.
All right.
Okay, just.
Oh, wait, okay,
reread
so
that.
with that, we voted it okay with that correction? All right.
Yes.
And then we have a final one. Final line item transfer made pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 33B, from line item number 7, description, Assistant Treasurer,
Treasure collector.
Treasurer Collector. Oh, that's COLL, okay. 01.146.100.116, $10,000. 2, line item 7, expense, 01.145.2000.585, that's $10,000. Significant increase in expense costs and data processing is the reason for the transfer. And it also, at a duly posted meeting, the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen met and voted on the above request as noted below. Okay. We have a motion.
So moved.
Was it seconded?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. You can have these back.
Thank you.
We don't have to sign
And
it.
you'll take care of
I'll
us.
sign them. I can sign those, I believe Frank used to.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's it. Next item on the agenda is AFSCME, AFL-CIO, Council 93, Local 1700, DPW Collective Bargaining Agreement.
So moved.
So, we, the board, actually voted the MOU. And all this is now, this is the new contract with everything from the MOU that you previously voted, incorporated into a nice, fresh 3-year CBA. So what I would like on this and also on the town hall is that you vote it, but not sign these, because we like the unions to sign
Sign it
first.
first, okay.
And the DPW, I was told, is meeting this evening, and the town hall is meeting tomorrow. So if you have the vote, I can then leave them downstairs after the union signs. I can let you know, and you can come in and
Okay.
sign it.
Okay, so
I'll
the,
second that. Dan motioned it.
Yeah.
did he? Okay, so this is for AFSCME.
AFSCME.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And now the OPEIU, Local 6, the Town Hall Union, Collective Bargaining Agreement. Basically the same.
Exact same.
And I'll make that
Is there a
motion.
motion?
Second.
Second? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, so you can do your thing.
Absolutely.
Town Administrator vacancy carryover.
Vacation carryover, yes. So I had Laurie check this, she sent me an email. I have 104 hours remaining this year, and so I would like to roll those over to next year. I know it exceeds the 9 days, but with the special town meeting and everything going on with the reductions and so forth.
Okay, do we want to have a motion to do that?
Oh, yeah, she works Saturdays and Sundays, for God's
Second.
sakes.
Second, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye, oh, absolutely.
Take some time. Set the meeting schedule, July 8th for the meeting in July,
Yeah, 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay. Old business, nothing under old business, Town Administrator's report?
Yes. Actually, I have 3 items this evening. First, I would like some direction from the board regarding a SAFER, SAFER, staffing grant opportunity, which was suggested by the IAFF, the International Association of Firefighters, as a possible option to help with the budget cuts for fiscal year 2026. And this came to the chief the day before, I believe, the special town meeting. This grant offers a way for communities to enhance their fire department staffing levels and improve emergency response capabilities. The grant funds both hiring new firefighters or rehiring laid-off ones and supporting recruitment and retention efforts for volunteer firefighters. The SAFER grant is designed to help build capacity, and FEMA wants to see a plan for how the positions will be funded in the long term. So basically, this is to add more staffing, or if people were actually laid off, to help bring them back. There are community costs associated with the SAFER grants, and while these grants provide substantial federal funding in the first couple of years, the town plays a role in contributing to the overall costs. Since the information was received right before the special town meeting regarding the SAFER grant opportunity, the town has identified alternative funding sources to allow the fire department to maintain their current staffing levels. Because of this, we do not feel that we qualify for the grant, since staffing levels are not expected to be impacted in fiscal '26. So, one of the suggestions that the chief has is, no, you please get up and speak. He had put an article on for capital that he's willing, to forego to meet part of the needs for the reduction he had in his department. So this looks like it's going to add even more.
It can be used if we were going to add staffing,
Right.
if we were going to, it's for recruitment and retention, and that's where it got gray, talking with council a little bit. The retention part would be retaining them if they were going to be laid off, or there was going to be a decrease in service. I have to say, I was beyond impressed. The local firefighters here, 1769, reached out. The PFFM reached out, Professional Firefighters of Massachusetts, and the International Association of Firefighters reached out, showing that they had deep concern for our cuts and knew how devastating it would be to the community. And to receive that information, to have the offer of, this is out there, this is how you can do it, and please let us know if we can help, was reassuring. But then we were able to come up with the alternative funding source. The thing that is it's a 4-year process. The town picks up 25% the first year, 25% the second year, 65% year 3, which was the problem, and then obviously 100% the 4th year. It's a great avenue to increase staffing, but talking with council and stuff, it was a little difficult to understand if we could use it for retention. They've tightened it up recently. I don't know if you paid attention to the news. That's sarcasm. They've tightened up on a lot of things. And before, I know you could use it for keeping employees, but it's kind of gray right now if you couldn't. But where we're going to be able to fund those positions and maintain our staffing, it's a great thing to keep on the burner, though.
Thank you.
So it's really the direction of whether we should pursue this grant or because of other ideas.
So what I'm hearing is that we probably shouldn't.
Right, that's what we're speaking with
Any
council.
thoughts?
And that's what we're thinking.
I agree with you.
Okay.
I'd definitely like to look into it more. I think working with the finance committee and having stuff like that on the table to consider, I think would be.
For the future.
And I think that there's a deadline here for filing for this grant, July 3rd. So it's just next week. But it looks like it's to add even more staffing. And then the retention, what I read that you had sent me was for volunteer firefighters. The retention piece was for volunteer. So for that reason,
Okay.
we feel that maybe for this
But
particular.
yeah, the July 3rd deadline is
Real close.
not a lot of discussion can happen between now and July 3rd, I don't think.
My only issue with that is if you hire employees on a grant, it's a temporary grant. When the money runs out, you know what I mean?
That's a component of this. FEMA wants to know that you are going to be able to fund it ongoing.
And we may
It's
not-
not meant for a 2-3 year thing. It's meant for a permanent ad, and that you have to, show them and outline how you're able then to fund these positions on a go-forward basis, and that's where it's.
Right, yeah.
Hard to do right now.
So that was the first item I had.
Thank you.
The
Second item.
Second item. As you know, the DPW building project is nearing completion, and the new DPW building looks fantastic. Last week, however, the old green garage building located on Essex Street was taken down, and during demolition, an underground storage tank was discovered. ADS Environmental Engineering, which is the town's LSP on the project, notified Mass DEP. The underground storage tank has been removed. The soil is currently being tested, and I will update you as I know more. We're waiting for results to come back, but from what I understand and speaking with Kevin Cleary, once, the environmental engineering came in, everything was done properly. The tank was removed, cleaned, removed from the site. The soil, they're keeping that in different piles, and they'll dispose of that accordingly, and everything's going out for testing. So it's just in the beginning stages, but I just wanted to let you know.
Thank you.
And the third item, some good news to share. As you know, the town entered a community electricity aggregation plan with Good Energy, about over a year ago, to offer residents and small businesses stable, competitive electricity options. And today was bid day, the day in which bids were accepted for electricity rates for Whitman residents. The bids we received were very favorable, and the town chose to lock in the rate for a little over 4 years. The town is in the process of finalizing the contract, and a press release is being prepared. A mailing will be going out early to mid-August to residents with information regarding the electricity rate the town received and the information regarding the opt-out period. I'll have more information to share on this topic at the next select board meeting in July.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and those are the 3 items that I had.
Okay. Need to go into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, Exception A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining if an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body, and the chair so declares. It's for the assistant town accountant. And then we also need to go into executive session after that pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Exception 7, to comply with or act under the authority of any general or special law or federal grant and aid requirements. And that's to review and approve past executive session minutes for 4/11/23, 4/18/23, 5/01/23, 5/15/23, 5/23/23, 6/20/23, 8/01/23, January 1/07/25, and 1/21/25, and 2/04/25. We're catching up. Is there we will come in back in open session only to adjourn. Is there a motion to go in?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we're in executive session.